They told you to follow the facts. But what if facts don't matter anymore? You scroll through your feed. Headlines contradict each other. Experts disagree. Everyone's yelling, no one's listening. The truth feels negotiable. This isn't new. Friedrich Nietzsche saw it coming over 140 years ago. He called it the death of truth. But he didn't panic. He didn't cry for help. He issued a challenge. When the old truths collapse, who will rise to create new ones? This video is not about despair. It's about dominance, about thriving in chaos. It's about becoming what Nietzsche called the Übermensch, a person who doesn't beg for clarity but builds it. And the world today, it's begging for that kind of strength. So, if you've ever felt lost in noise, paralyzed by too many opinions, or just tired of asking, what's real? Keep watching. Because Nietzsche didn't just predict the post-truth world, he left a blueprint to master it. Why should you care about a dead German philosopher with a giant mustache? Because he decoded the exact crisis you're living in. Nietzsche didn't write for ivory towers. He wrote for warriors, people like you, navigating chaos, starving for clarity, fighting to build a life that feels real. He warned us. Truth would die. Institutions would crumble. And in its place, we'd get noise, distraction, 1,000 realities, none of them fulfilling. Sound familiar? But here's the twist. Nietzsche didn't offer comfort. He offered power. He said, you must become who you are. That sounds poetic, but it's a call to arms. In a post-truth world, identity isn't found. It's forged like steel under pressure. This video is your forge. Over the next 25 minutes, you'll learn how to turn Nietzsche's radical insights into practical strategy. We'll blend his philosophy with modern psychology, real-life case studies, and tools you can use today. Not theory, transformation. You'll discover how to stop chasing external truth and build internal certainty. Why most people become slaves to their comfort and how to escape it. A mindset so resilient it turns confusion into clarity. Tools to strengthen your self-mastery, leadership, and emotional discipline. This isn't just for thinkers, it's for doers, for people tired of surface-level advice, tired of being passive, people ready to lead, create, dominate. And if that's you, then you're in exactly the right place. So grab a pen, clear your distractions, and get ready to meet the version of you that Nietzsche knew was possible. Let's begin. Let's break it all down.
In 1882, Friedrich Nietzsche dropped a philosophical bomb. He wrote, "God is dead." Not a cry of triumph, a warning. What he meant was that the old structures of truth, religion, science, morality were no longer trusted. And when people stop believing in shared truths, they don't become free. They become lost. He called it nihilism. A condition where life feels empty, directionless, like you're floating without an anchor in a storm of conflicting voices. The scariest part? He saw it coming not as a possibility, but as a certainty. a tidal wave that would sweep through society, leaving only one question: who will rise from the wreckage? Nietzsche didn't believe the answer was more facts, or more rules, or another ideology. He believed the answer was you, but not the version of you that conforms, the version that creates. He introduced an idea more radical than religion, politics, or even morality. He called it the will to power. Most people think power means controlling others. Nietzsche disagreed. To him, power meant self-mastery, the drive to overcome, to grow, to turn chaos into creation. He believed the highest form of life wasn't the obedient citizen, but the courageous builder. Someone who doesn't wait for truth, but generates it through action. He called this person the Übermensch, often translated as the overman or superhuman. But don't think cape and tights, think inner steel. The Übermensch is the one who looks at a crumbling world and says, "Good, now I can build something real." Sound intense? It is. But let's bring it into your world. Think of the last time you felt overwhelmed, scrolling news, seeing outrage, hearing 10 versions of the same story. One expert says coffee saves your brain, another says it kills you. Your boss says one thing, your friends saying another. Your emotions pull you in 5 directions. Nietzsche would say, "Welcome to the abyss." But here's the twist. The abyss isn't your enemy, it's your training ground. And this is where Nietzsche's philosophy becomes personal development gold. He believed that once you accept the death of external certainty, you stop waiting for clarity. You build it. You don't search for identity. You shape it through choices, discipline, and action. In modern terms, when truth feels broken, your mindset becomes your compass. Psychologists today talk about internal locus of control, the belief that you are responsible for your outcomes, not external forces. That's pure Nietzsche. He was preaching it in the 19th century. But here's the problem. Most people don't build their inner compass. They escape into distraction, dopamine hits, passive scrolling, approval seeking. They trade depth for comfort, truth for tribe, power for safety. Nietzsche had a name for this. He called it the last man. The last man is the one who fears discomfort more than emptiness. He doesn't risk, he doesn't create, he just consumes. And in Nietzsche's eyes, that was a fate worse than death, because when you stop striving, you stop living. So what's the alternative? You become a creator of meaning. You stop asking, what's the right belief? And start asking, what belief makes me stronger, wiser, more alive? That's the will to power in action. And yes, it's hard. It requires emotional discipline, mindset training, and a level of inner strength most people never tap into. But it's also the path to freedom.
Let me give you a story. In ancient Greece, there was a man named Diogenes. He lived in a barrel, rejected comfort, challenged Alexander the Great to his face. He owned nothing but his identity. And when asked what he wanted most, he said, "Stand out of my sunlight." That's will to power, not control over others, but control over self. That fierce clarity that says, "This is who I am. The world doesn't get to edit that." Fast forward to today. We live in the most connected, yet disconnected age in history. Algorithms shape belief, emotions are monetized, truth is a battlefield. And Nietzsche's voice cuts through the noise. He who has a why to live can bear almost any how. Your why must be forged, not found. This section is your forge. We're not here to memorize Nietzsche. We're here to use him, to rebuild your strategy, rewire your psychology, and reject the lie that you need permission to live with clarity. So ask yourself now, what truth have you been waiting to receive that you could be creating instead? Take a breath. Because next, we'll take this foundation and turn it into action. Concrete strategies, psychological tools, real-life transformation. Let's go deeper.
Let's get personal. You wake up, check your phone. There's a flood of headlines, conflicting stats, outrage, opinions disguised as facts. You scroll for 5 minutes, and already your nervous system is flooded. Sound familiar? This is not random. It's psychological warfare. And Nietzsche saw it coming. He said that once absolute truth dies, humans would crave certainty like a drug. But they wouldn't find it in facts. They'd find it in tribe, in emotion, in whatever feels safe. That's dangerous, because feelings aren't facts, and they can be manipulated. Modern psychology calls this confirmation bias. Your brain fevers what confirms your beliefs. It filters information for comfort, not accuracy. In a post-truth world, this becomes a trap. You don't just believe what's true, you believe what protects your ego. That's how people stay stuck. They follow their feed instead of their values. The system profits off your confusion. But Nietzsche, he gave you a weapon, will. He warned us, man would rather will nothing than not will at all. If you don't create meaning, you'll consume whatever is given, even lies, even poison, even paralysis. Let's break it down with 3 psychological impacts of the post-truth era. Decision fatigue. Every scroll is a micro-decision. Click or skip, agree or rage, share or stay silent. Over time, this depletes your willpower. You lose clarity. You react instead of lead. Your goals blur. Motivation fades. Nietzsche's solution? Radical self-direction. Not in the form of rigid routines, but in the form of value-driven living. You don't ask, what's right? You ask, what aligns with who I'm becoming? Emotional exhaustion. When everything is urgent, nothing is meaningful. The news cycle trains your amygdala to stay in threat mode, but chronic alertness kills creativity. You can't build your will to power if you're emotionally drowning. Nietzsche said, "The snake that cannot shed its skin must die." Emotionally, that means letting go, dropping attachments, releasing identities that no longer serve you. If you cling to every headline, every label, every reaction, you decay.
3. Loss of identity. When you outsource your opinions, your soul goes offline. In a post-truth world, the strongest identity isn't the loudest. It's the most self-authored. Nietzsche believed identity isn't discovered. It's forged through decisions, values, and inner work. Let's look at 3 real-world examples of Nietzsche's ideas in motion. The workplace game. Meet Laura, mid-30s, corporate strategist. She's smart but quiet. Her louder colleagues keep getting promoted. They speak in confident half-truths. They network hard, play politics, and spin narratives. Laura starts doubting herself. She thinks, maybe I'm not cut out for leadership. Stop. Nietzsche would say Laura is trapped in reactive living. She's waiting for recognition instead of claiming her power. If she tapped into her will to power, she'd flip the script, define her own metrics for success, lead a project that aligns with her values, influence through action, not noise. She'd stop asking, how do I get picked? And start asking, what game am I even playing? The social media spiral. Now meet Dev. He's 27, smart, creative, but every time he opens Instagram, he feels smaller. Everyone looks happier, richer, fitter. Dev knows it's curated, but emotionally it hits like truth. He starts doubting his path. He copies trends, waters himself down, loses fire. Nietzsche's verdict? Dev isn't weak, he's distracted, caught in what Nietzsche would call slave morality, living by others' rules, metrics, and meaning. Dev doesn't need more followers, he needs self-mastery, to create before he consumes, to shape before he scrolls, to choose discomfort over distortion. The red pill choice. Let's go fictional. Think of Neo in The Matrix. He's offered 2 pills, blue for comfort, red for truth. He chooses red not because it's safer, but because it's real. That's Nietzsche's Übermensch in action, the one who chooses reality even when it hurts, who says, I'll shape this world, not run from it. Here's the insight. In a post-truth world, your strength is not what you know. It's what you build. And Nietzsche gives us a brutal, beautiful lesson. The world owes you nothing, but you owe yourself everything. This is where applied philosophy meets strategy, because once you see the trap, you can exit it, not with outrage, but with intention. Here's how. Start by flipping the lens. Ask, what assumptions am I accepting without question? What truths am I defending because they protect my ego? Who benefits from my confusion? These are not passive questions. They're weapons. Use them. Next, adopt what I call Nietzschean filters. Every time you face a choice, run it through these filters. Does this action align with my highest values? Am I choosing comfort or growth? Will this make me more sovereign or more dependent? This is strategy. This is practical philosophy. It's how you turn Nietzsche from a dead philosopher into your mental weapon trainer. But let me be clear. This isn't about being cold, emotionless, or unshakable all the time. It's about becoming so rooted in your values that chaos can't uproot you. It's emotional discipline, mental toughness, mindset mastery. And it's rare, which is why it's powerful. So let's end this section with a challenge. Tonight, take 10 minutes. Write down 3 beliefs you've held for years. Then question them. Where did they come from? Are they helping you grow or just keeping you safe? This is your first act of rebellion, your first step into the arena. Not to argue, not to escape, but to create. Because when you stop consuming noise and start creating clarity, you're no longer just surviving post-truth. You're mastering it.
You've made it this far. That already sets you apart. Now let's turn insight into action, philosophy into results. Nietzsche said, "A thought, even a possibility, can shatter and transform us, but only if you use it." So here are 5 battle-tested tools. Each one helps you reclaim clarity, break free from noise, and build a mindset that thrives in chaos. No fluff, no theory, only execution. Tool 1, the value audit. Most people live by borrowed beliefs. They never question the truths that shape their decisions. Here's the process. Write down your top 5 values or guiding principles. Ask, who gave me this? Was it earned or inherited? Cross out what no longer serves your evolution. Replace with what energizes and aligns with your future self. This is the essence of Nietzsche's will to power, not passive acceptance, but conscious authorship. You are not a container of opinions. You are the sculptor of meaning. Tool 2, perspective wrestling. Why it matters? The post-truth world feeds uncertainty. But Nietzsche taught perspectivism, the idea that there are only interpretations, not absolute facts. Here's the challenge. Once a week, take an idea you strongly disagree with. Argue its opposite on paper for 10 minutes. Don't just parody it, understand it. What this builds? Strategic empathy, mental agility, reduced emotional reactivity. You're not just seeing both sides, you're training for psychological warfare. You become flexible, not fragile, and in a world of rigidity, that's power. Tool 3, the sovereign schedule. If you don't control your time, someone else will. Nietzsche believed in self-discipline, but not as punishment, as freedom. Try this. Identify your creative hours each day. Block them off. No meetings, no scrolling, only output. Treat them as sacred, like training for war. What this builds? Emotional discipline, focused willpower, personal sovereignty. Most people react to their calendar. You own yours. That's mindset mastery.
Tool 4, the chaos catalyst. Why it matters. Growth lives in tension. Nietzsche knew that comfort is decay in disguise. This weekly challenge will rewire your tolerance for uncertainty. Read one article, watch one video, or talk to one person with views you disagree with. No reacting, just listening. Then reflect. What made you uncomfortable? What did you learn? What this builds: anti-fragility, curiosity over judgment, resilience against narrative manipulation. It's not about changing your beliefs, it's about strengthening your identity by exposing it to friction. Tool 5, the Identity Journal. Nietzsche believed you must become the author of your soul, but that requires narrative clarity. Identity is not a mystery to discover,
It's a story to write. Do this every night for 10 days. Write. Today, I acted like the person I want to become when tonight, tomorrow, I will honor my values by... For example, today I acted like my future self when I spoke up in that meeting, even though I felt nervous. Tomorrow, I'll honor my values by setting boundaries with clarity, not guilt. This tiny habit shapes trajectory. It aligns action with purpose, and it builds emotional toughness faster than any motivational quote. Why it works? Psychology shows that narrative journaling rewires neural patterns. It boosts self-regulation and goal alignment. You're not journaling to vent, you're journaling to build. Bonus integration tactic. Pick one tool each week. Practice it daily. Reflect each Sunday. After 5 weeks, you won't just think differently, you'll move differently, speak differently, command your space like someone who has trained for chaos. Because that's what Nietzsche wanted. Not fans. Not followers, builders, creators, strategists. People who don't seek safe truths, they forge sharp ones. And the best part? You don't need permission to start, just a choice. Which tool will you choose today?
Let's pause for a second. Look at the world around you. Information overload, false confidence, shifting narratives. A culture obsessed with being right, but terrified of being real. Now, look inward. What if this chaos isn't the problem? What if it's your training ground? Nietzsche never promised comfort, he promised transformation. He didn't say life would be easy, he said it could be yours, if you're willing to claim it. This journey we've taken today was never just about Nietzsche. It's about you, your will, your choices, your power. Because here's the truth, nobody's coming to save you. Nobody's handing you clarity. Nobody is building your identity. But you can. And once you do, something shifts. You stop reacting. You start creating. You stop chasing approval. You start setting standards. You stop asking, what's true? You start asking, what's real for me? That's the moment you stop being a consumer of noise and start becoming a strategist of meaning. The world doesn't need more opinions. It needs more people who own their lives with conviction. Nietzsche called it becoming the Übermensch. Modern psychology calls it self-authorship. We call it personal power. And it's not about being perfect, it's about being deliberate. So here's your final challenge. Choose one tool from today. Practice it for 7 days. No excuses, no external validation. Just you, your mind, your time. Comment below and tell us, which tool did you pick? What are you letting go of? What are you building in its place? And if this resonated, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who needs clarity, someone who's drowning in doubt and needs a voice that says, "You've got this." Subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and keep coming back because this is just the beginning. We're building a community here of thinkers, builders, leaders, people who take chaos and shape it into clarity. So wherever you are, whatever you're facing, don't look away. Don't slow down, and above all, don't wait. Because Nietzsche's prophecy wasn't a warning. It was a whisper. Now it begins. The world is yours to shape. See you in the next video.